How's it going, everybody? It's Stas here. So today we're going to be breaking down 10 stocks to buy this week, all of which are reporting earnings. I want to break these stocks down and also go over what happened last week in the stock market. We'll look at SPY, QQQ. We'll take a look at the VIX as well. So if you all find value, hit the like button, subscribe, take a sip of your coffee, and you might as well go down below, get 2 stocks from WeBull, $30 from M1 Finance, $10 from Coinbase. All of those are free, and if you want to support the channel a bit further, you can check out my Patreon. That's linked down below, and of course, you guys get a bunch of exclusive perks on that, so feel free to check it out. And without further ado, let's get into it. And oh, by the way, happy Easter to everybody out there celebrating today. I personally celebrate today as well, so happy Easter to everybody out there, again, that celebrates today. And let's get right into the video. So last week, you guys probably saw the market sell off a bit, and in the beginning of the week it was quite the opposite. We consolidated, we had a nice run up, and then this day right here, which was Thursday, we had a lot of volatility. You guys can see SPY went from 420 to about 416, snapped all the way back to 420 and closed right around there on Thursday. And then on Friday we got that big dump off pre-market, which actually began in the aftermarket hours the previous day on Thursday. So we got that little sell off, and then we ended up closing the week at about 417 here on SPY. And you guys can see on the 10-day chart, that was actually a pretty good close for the bulls, right? They held the uptrend right here at about 416, which was a higher low, but the bulls are not out of the woods yet. I've mentioned this in last week's video as well. You know, on the 5-day 5-minute, look, we're still technically in a downtrend, making lower lows and lower highs. So at this point in time, until this breaks, and by this I mean, let's say 418, we break the moving averages on this 5-day 5-minute, until that happens, the bulls are not in full charge yet. And by the looks of it, I mean, it's 50-50 right now between the bulls and the bears in the very short term, because if the bears happen to break 416, if 416 does not hold as support and the overall 10-day uptrend ends up breaking, this could easily end up going down to $410, which we've talked about before. That was the low from the middle towards the end of April, about 10-15 days ago. And if 410, 411 breaks, we might be able to see a lower price on SPY, probably to about 405. That'd be a target that makes sense to me, at least here on the 4-hour chart, putting us right around the 180 moving average. So watch out for that on SPY. And QQQ, a lot of the same, right? We're seeing a battle between the bears and the bulls in the past day and a half. You guys can see that here on the 10-day chart and on the 5-day 5-minute. So for tomorrow, and honestly, I'm looking at the futures as well, which as of now, they are not open. Let me know in the comments down below what the futures market is looking like. But tomorrow, I'm looking to see, okay, is QQQ going to gap above 340, maybe start pushing 342, or do we end up breaking under 337 and we end up going, let's say, maybe 335, followed by on the 4-hour chart, you guys can see here, maybe 330, 332. You know, these are some levels I'm watching on QQQ, and we saw the VIX on Friday have a field day. VIX was up almost 6% as volatility, as fear in the markets started to kick up more that day. So we're going to be monitoring the VIX. I think if it breaks above 20, that's going to be a bit worrisome. I think 20 is that key point on the VIX. If we do break that, we could end up going 25, maybe 30 on the VIX, which I think is very possible. So let me know down below in the comments. As always, I'd love to know your thoughts. And if you all are enjoying the video, you might as well hit that like button. And let's get right into the stocks now that I'm personally watching, which again, all of these report earnings. And actually, wait, before we go over that, let me pull up this screenshot for you guys from Earnings Whispers. You guys can see it here. And these are all the companies that are reporting this week. We're obviously not going to talk about all of these because this video would be about 5 hours long. But on Monday, tomorrow, we have Chegg, iRobot, so not too crazy of a day. Also, Berkshire Hathaway, I just saw that one. You guys can see that one's pre-market. And then on Tuesday, some more companies. We have Pfizer, we have Skills, Corsair Gaming, we have T-Mobile, Virgin Galactic, Upwork, Lyft, followed by on Wednesday, we have PayPal, Rocket Companies, Etsy, Uber, Twilio, Fastly. What else do we have? Sunrun on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we have Moderna, Square, Roku, Peloton, AMC, Beyond Meat, Fiverr, the infamous Dropbox, the YouTube stock Dropbox, and we have GoPro as well. And Friday, we have DraftKings, Nikola, the best company in the world. That is Nikola, and that's a joke. Obviously, that company is... let's not use that word on YouTube, guys. But, we have Kronos, we have, and that's pretty much, I guess, on Friday. But overall, a lot of companies are reporting, not as crazy as last week where we saw the big tech names, but still, a lot of big companies are reporting this week. So let's start off this portion of the video with Chegg. And Chegg is an interesting one. Not really on the 4-hour chart. I mean, hey, the 4-hour chart looks pretty decent, but if we pull back to the yearly chart, we can see on Chegg, look, it held the 180 SMA. It double bottomed there in March into April, right? Double bottom breakout. We're trading above the moving averages as well, both the 50 and the 180. And it looks like we're holding the uptrend overall, trading ourselves into this wedge, right? So I think if earnings are good on Chegg, which we'll see, guys, and I'm not going to buy and speculate that earnings are going to be good, but if we get a decent report, $90 ends up holding, we start drifting mid-90s again, that's going to be a sign that the higher low is holding, and we could ultimately end up back towards $100 per share. That would put us right towards the resistance of the wedge here on the yearly chart. And pulling up the 4-hour, you guys can see we are struggling a bit at the 180 SMA and at the resistance point from the middle of March at about $95. So needless to say, 95 is a big resistance we must break, and if that does end up breaking, right, I can see $100, $105 for Chegg, so I'm watching that one very closely here. Skills is another one that I'm watching. I'm actually in Skills right now. I locked in some profits. Thankfully, a couple days ago, you guys in my Patreon know that I locked in on this big pop-up to $21. I didn't lock at $21. I locked it at $20 per share, but either way, I mean, that's pretty good considering it's at $17.50 right now, and I was buying at $16 and $14. So I rode that up, made 20%. I still have some shares in Skills right now open, and the plan as of now is to just hold those shares through earnings, which I don't do too often, guys, but in this case, I feel comfortable holding these through earnings because this is a medium-term swing for me, so I'm cool with that. And again, I already made some money on it, so I figured let's let the rest ride and see what can happen. And overall, I think Skills, it has a lot of potential above $20, right? I would love to see it break 20, fill the gap to about 23.70, and then go up to about 26, and from there, I think it could gain a lot of momentum. So we're watching Skills this week. Upwork is another one I'm watching, UPWK. This one you guys can clearly see on the 10-day, probably the hourly chart actually. We're struggling between $50 as resistance and support at about 45. That's been holding. You guys can see it on the 4-hour chart as well. 45 is held over the past couple of months. So I believe if we can get a hold above 45 this week and we run into earnings or maybe after earnings, which are on Tuesday here, this could be a sign that, hey, maybe Upwork wants to fill the gap back up to $50. If $50 breaks, from there, I mean, the uptrend could finally continue because you can see here clearly we've been in a consolidation range the past 2 months. So yeah, $50 breaks. I think we're going to go $55 on this stock. So let me put an alert for Upwork at $47.50. We'll put it at, and if that breaks, watch for the move to $50, then to $55, and so forth, guys. So I like Upwork here. Etsy is another one. They report this week. They went down 5% on Friday. They report earnings on Wednesday, so 3 days from now. Watch out for them, guys. And overall, on the 4-hour chart, look at this. We're holding a higher low at about $199, $200, but we're making lower highs in the process. And we're also trading under both moving averages, and we're about to see a death cross here, the 50 crossing under the 180 SMA. So that is a bit worrisome, I'm not going to lie, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to completely trash this stock, because look, if it holds 199, 200, we might see a short-term push to 210, and if earnings are good, we could be above those moving averages and looking very bullish in no time, guys, because Etsy is one of those companies that is pretty volatile when it comes to earnings. And looking at their previous reports, I mean, look, last time they reported, the stock did drop from 145 to 120, and it also, well, that was 2 times ago that it reported, and the previous earnings, it went from 250, it looks like, or did it go up? No, actually, it went up from 179 at 180 roughly. It went all the way to 250 after earnings. So we have to watch this dip, guys. If 200 holds, like I said, maybe 210 to 225 after that. That is where we could be going. The next one we have here is none other than Uber, ticker symbol UBER. This one didn't do much last week. Actually, no, that's false. It did drop a ton last week, but on Friday it didn't do much. That's what I was looking at. It went down 0.3% on Friday, and then on Thursday, this thing completely collapsed down 10%, and it looks like it's been holding that low point from Thursday into Friday, which is a good sign. And if we pull up this 4-hour chart, guys, and I extend this, or let me just redraw this actually. If I redraw this, you guys can see as of now, despite that big drop-off we just saw, Uber is still holding the uptrend on the 4-hour chart. And let me just draw this whole thing over. This guy's right here, what you're seeing is a textbook ascending triangle, right? We're making those higher lows into that resistance point at $60, which we failed at many, many times in the past couple of months. So I believe Uber, and granted, they have earnings coming up this week on the 5th, so that's on Wednesday, they might be able to do well. I think the stock, technically speaking, right, there could be upside, especially if 55.50 ends up breaking. I think this ascending triangle could end up panning out. And by that, I mean we might fill the gap to 60. And then if 60 breaks, that would be an overall breakout in the chart to the point where we might test $64. That was the high from back in the beginning of February, and maybe even further than that. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, right? We shouldn't get ahead of ourselves, because as of now, we're not breaking out yet, but we're going to be watching this heading into earnings, watching it very closely. And Twilio is another one. TWLO is the ticker on this one. This went down 2% on Friday. And overall, guys, this one's looking pretty bullish to me as well. We're holding the uptrend overall on the 4-hour. We broke above the 180 moving average as well here. Now we're trading a bit under the 50 moving average as of last week when we did get that big sell-off. You can see here on Thursday, the stock dropped about 6%, and it actually hit a low point on Friday compared to where it was on Thursday. So the bears are still in charge with this stock, especially in the very short term on the 5-day 5-minute here. But I think if this could break, and by this I mean 375 on Twilio, the overall downtrend here on the 5-day 5-minute, there's going to be a turnaround. I think there's going to be a turnaround. So we're going to put our alert at 377. If that point's able to break and we pull back here on the hourly chart, let's say, maybe we start pushing up towards 395, 405. These are a couple of different targets. And on the 4-hour chart, you guys can see that'd be the continuation of the uptrend. So we're monitoring Twilio here this week as they are reporting earnings. PayPal and Square, the two dominant fintech players. I'm also watching these as I'm a big believer in fintech. I have an investment in PayPal, right? And I'm looking to add Square here at some point. And I like PayPal. Look at this, guys. Overall, we broke out of the head and shoulder here on the 4-hour. We're trading above the 180 moving average. We're trading above 255 as well, which was a big resistance a couple months ago back in January, also back in March. So the fact that we're holding 255 as support now, that is a good sign. And it looks like we might test 255 again this week, which at that point, I believe it'll be way oversold, the stock, right? So I think if we got to 255. That'd be a nice dip buy and a play back up with upwards targets of about 275, 280, which is where we were back in the middle of April on this stock. And we were actually there in the beginning of March as well. So 280 is a big resistance. 255 is the big support here. So I think we could get a play off 255, 260, even up towards that 280 level. So I'm watching PayPal, and they have earnings coming up here on Wednesday. So Wednesday is a big day. You guys can see Square here. They're also reporting earnings on, okay, that's on Thursday, the 6th of May here. And we can see that they're overall, I mean, over the past couple of weeks, they've been downtrending as well. Maybe not past couple of weeks, but the past, I'd say, okay, 2 weeks, they've been downtrending. You guys can see here on the hourly chart, right? And it looks like we're holding support at about 242. So I'm personally seeing a descending triangle here on Square, right? Support at 240 roughly. We're making lower highs into that support. So watch out for that playing out. I mean, if 240 is able to break, maybe we go down to 220, 225 here on Square, which would be a great dip buy in my opinion. And even here could be a dip buy right around the 180 SMA on the 4 hour, but we have to wait and see what earnings are going to look like and if 240 ends up holding, because for all we know, it might not hold. So we have to watch Square at 240, and I'd say about 250 as well. If 250 were to break, then we might go straight up to 270, 275. So let's watch out for Square here. For PayPal, Roku is another one I'm watching this week, guys. ROKU is the ticker. This one's down a good chunk. I believe this one's got to be in a bear market, right? Yeah, it's down 30% from that 480 high, and that 480 high was printed back in the middle of, what was that? The middle of February. So over 2 months ago, guys. Roku has not hit that high in over 2 months. So at this point, we're making lower highs, higher lows as well. We're in this wedge. We're about to see a death cross, 50 SMA crossing under the 180 SMA, which would not be good. If 340 ends up breaking as support and we end up taking out 300 as well, that death cross would be panning out, right? But as of now, we're not there yet. So I think there's still some hope for the bulls. And maybe if 290, or rather 340, not 290, gosh, guys, that's way off. 340, if 340 ends up holding, we break 355, there could be some upside push here on Roku. So we're going to be watching that one heading into this week, which did not have a good Friday. Roku went down 4% on Friday. And we also have the infamous AMC reporting this week, which is also in a wedge of its own, making lower highs, higher lows. You guys can see $10 is holding now, and in my opinion, it has to hold. And really, the technicals show that if $10 doesn't hold, we fail at 10, the uptrend's going to break, and we could end up back down to 870, $9, $9.50. So watch out for the uptrend here on AMC. I'm going to set an alert at about $10 and $15, $10.30, maybe right around there. Let's put it at $10.20, right in the middle. We'll put it at $10.20, and I want to see what their earnings are going to be. Believe it or not, guys, this might sound weird, but out of all these earnings reports, I'm the most excited for AMC, right? Because the movie theater industry's been rocked, right? I want to see how they're doing when it comes to earnings, revenue, the guidance. I want to see the outlook of their movie theaters abroad, over there in Europe, and of course here in the U.S., as they've been struggling in both regions, more in Europe as of now, because U.S., they've really opened up most, if not all, of their theaters. They're opened up here in the U.S. So I'm watching AMC, and the bonus one, if you guys stuck to the end here, the 11th stock is Beyond Meat. And Beyond Meat, I still have not added a position in this one. I've been telling myself, Stas, add a position in this one, but I just haven't done so. I'll be honest, I haven't done so already, and I'm super curious to see what the earnings look like this quarter. We get earnings on the 6th, so this one's on Thursday. I want to see, do they beat? Do they miss? What's the guidance like? Do they have any new announcements to make, right? And by that point, it might be too late, and I'm okay with that. If we see a massive spike in the stock afterwards and I missed out, that's fine. But I do want to see their earnings report for this quarter before I end up buying into it. And that's what I'm doing with this stock, right, guys? So I'm watching this one. It's holding 130. We'll see if that ends up holding. If it breaks above, let's say 145, 150, that's going to be a breakout sign for Beyond Meat. So let me know your thoughts, guys. Let me know down below what stocks you're watching, your thoughts on the market this week. As always, I'd love to know. And hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe as well. Turn on the notification bell if you do want to see content like this and you want to be notified every single day. And check out my Patreon if you want more exclusive access to me, exclusive content, morning update videos every day, buy and sell alerts. You get call outs there every day on Patreon. And you could also get free money from WeBull. You get 2 stocks valued up to $1,600 with a $100 deposit. You also get $30 from M1 Finance with also a $100 deposit. And if you guys want to check out Coinbase, you could also get $10 from them. All of those are linked down below. And speaking of Coinbase and crypto in general, I made a video on that yesterday. It's a 10-minute video, very short, going over how to actually safely store your Bitcoin. And I talk a little bit about private keys and how you don't actually own your Bitcoin or any crypto for that matter if you don't access or have access to your private keys. So I'll link that video up right here. Check it out if you're into Bitcoin and crypto. Watch that. I'll link it down below as well. I'll see you all there. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for watching as always. Stay safe out there, guys. Keep crushing the markets. Peace out.